All right, welcome back. Chris Garlock here, and this is round 2 of the Masters tournament here at the U.S. Go Congress in gorgeous Wisconsin, here in Madison. Very hot here today. It's feeling like Washington, D.C., my hometown.
It was like 88.
It was pretty humid. Yeah, there's a lot of lakes around. I'm joined by Nick Sibicki. Some of you will have seen him on his splendiferous YouTube videos. He's even been on Twitch before, so there's some handles out there that people will recognize you.
Sometimes I go in comments that are Nick Sib, and people are like, "Are you the real Sib?" Which of course is very flattering. It's like, well, yeah, who else can do it?
I asked Nick to stop by, partly to talk about that, but also he's being recognized this year. He's our Teacher of the Year. So we're very excited. Oh, can you actually go ahead and put the Babs is very excited because he came up with this really cool, I know, right? I'm going to get the tennis reference in, Babs. It's going to happen. You can't stop it. Anyway, so you can now see the game right there over our wonderful GoBot. Thank you, Babs.
Big shout out to Babs, by the way.
Absolutely.
Everyone who watches the stream should know who Babs is.
He's the wonderkind, the mastermind.
Has he ever been on camera, Michael? Have you ever gotten him?
He keeps threatening to possibly. We'll get him before the end of the week. You will see Babs. That's my prediction.
I bet if we start, screwing up enough, he'll have to come over here and stop us, and then he'll get him on camera.
I don't think we want to try that. You're a bad influence. Is this how you teach your kids?
This is how my Go class works usually, yes.
So tell us
Yeah.
about teaching Go, because in some ways it seems very easy, in some ways it seems like it'd be incredibly hard.
Well, I think most Go players have had some experience teaching Go, right? This isn't we're in a culture where if you want to play Go and you're in a small place, man, you have to go recruit some people to play with half the time. So I think everyone does some Go teaching at some point in their life if they're a Go player. You just can't avoid it. For me, I had my official. I mean, it doesn't feel official at all, but start teaching Go at the Seattle Go Center 7 years ago, and there's just an opening, right? There's a couple of evening classes there they try to put on each week, and basically it was next man up, and I got asked, and I was like, sure. And hey, do you mind if I start videotaping these? And they were like, sure. That internet thing's kind of weird. We don't know about it, but do what you want. And so I started putting up these classes just on YouTube, and been pretty consistently doing it now for about 7 years.
Well, they're very, very popular. Before we pick up on that, I just want to remind folks. So we had said from the beginning that Mark, who is on, he's on the Blackstones, I believe, right? Yeah, Mark he's
White.
Yeah. Yes, he's on. He held black this morning. That's right. So Mark is certainly the favorite. I think he's the one to beat. And in fact, this morning he was looking a little tentative. Actually, it was looking like he might be in some trouble.
Yeah.
But his opponent got in some time trouble. And there it is. The push, the cut. Ooh, things are getting exciting here. We will have, of course, our commentators. Well, normally they come in when enough moves have happened, but I'm actually remembering, Nick, that these Sunday night games, which are the same time limits as the Sunday morning games, but I don't know if folks are just sort of ready to move, but these tend to move pretty quick, so we may be bringing our commentators on sooner rather than later. But so stay tuned, because they will be coming in to explain some of this fun stuff that's happening. And then Yongfei, who's from, I remember where in Canada, I want to say in the Toronto area, possibly. I could be wrong on that. Somebody can, is that right? I'm getting the thumbs up from Ryan, good. And I've joked with Yongfei, I've done game recording for years, and one of the things, anybody that knows me knows, I've seen any of my videos with Redmond, part of my goal is always to get people to laugh. It's fun. Man, I tell you what, getting Yongfei to even crack a smile, he is stone-faced. And I remember whatever year it was that he won the U.S. I remember whether it was the U.S. Open or the Masters. Was it the Masters?
I can't remember which one either.
And he won, and I thought for sure
he would smile.
He would smile, and there was a little tiny. You had to look quick because it was fast. So he's a very serious contender. I said from the beginning that I think if anybody can really give Mark a run for the money, it will be Yongfei. He's a very solid competitor. You have anything to comment on that?
I haven't actually run into Yongfei this Congress, but I did see Mark this morning after his game, and he just seemed he said he was seeming kind of nervous, but actually I saw him as kind of relieved and just kind of like he got a game out of the system that he kind of feels like he might have gotten away with one.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ryan is going to be doing some commentary, and I think he was talking to Mark, so we may get some insights into that.
So we'll actually have
that. So how do you do that? What are some of your keys for teaching that you found to be effective?
Yeah, so the most important thing anyone can do teaching Go is to not teach the concepts you need to actually learn to play the game and the strategy. It's to teach the enthusiasm. If you can make someone excited about Go, they're going to go home, they're going to want to play more Go, and that's where the real learning is going to happen. If you are trying to teach someone, this Joseki or this pattern, and that's your approach to the game, there is appropriate times for that, but that can't be your default.
I'm so
strategy.
Glad to hear you say that. It
has to be about making people excited and happy to play the game.
I literally have seen over the years, somebody will come in, they'll be all excited to discover the game, and they're really enthusiastic, and the first thing they sat down, and the first thing is they explain the rules, and you sort of see just the excitement just draining out of them, and he's like, and then there's the codes. No, not the codes.
No, we do not teach Go anywhere at the start of the lesson, right? Like even often the first day, right, of someone playing Go. If you're, you can teach Go in about 4 rules.
Go ahead and share.
Black and white alternate playing stones on a board.
Okay.
A stone or a group of stones ever becomes completely surrounded by either the walls or the stones. They're removed. Those are points. The game ends when both players agree that it ends, and you count how much empty territory and how many stones got captured.
This is why you're teacher of the year.
That's 3 rules. The fourth rule we do not talk about. The fourth rule is a rule of Go. We do not talk about the rule of Go. It's like Fight Club, but day one of Go. Right?
So that's why you're teacher of the year. That is so elegant. And that's the thing, is that Go is this amazingly elegant game, and you get all tied up in the rules and the exceptions, and it's a
Well, with any emergently complex thing, right, you can always go a level deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And Go, as far as, in the realm certainly of gaming in general, but I think in other realms, and you can look at it through the lens of math or computer science or AI, the complexity that just comes out of these very simple rule set just keeps you coming back for more. So again, as long as you are excited to do it, you're always going to feel that desire to dig one level deeper. You're always going to want to keep learning and keep playing.
Mm-hmm. Now, and when you're doing videos, and this, as you said, has been a relatively, I think the Go community I think we've jumped into it with, full enthusiasm. But it's something that I think, we're kind of old school in a lot of ways in terms of teaching. And so the videos, talk a little bit about your concept with doing those.
Yeah, well, so my YouTube channel has been different than most other video content creators since its inception. And that's still kind of true, because I'm mostly producing content that's real life classes with real students, learning Go at the same time that people are watching on the internet. When you go and watch its Wiren video, when you go watch, Ryan Lee play on the New York Go videos, for the most part, those are people in front of a computer. They're doing a great job. They're teaching you great things. But it also feels very, it has a, I don't want to say a dryness to it, but it has something that's not quite feeling live. I know, Ryan's right there.
So
I'm giving him a direct criticism to his face. You have to be able to, be direct. But in my videos, right, there are real people in that room, right? You see other people and the questions they have, and how sometimes they not sometimes, often think of things I don't think about, or find moves that work that I didn't think of, or vice versa when they say something just completely off the wall that doesn't, we have to go in and explain. That sort of interaction, number one, makes it feel like a community. You're part of something bigger. You're doing something that makes you human, and it often brings out the questions and things you were thinking about too, right? Especially if people are in that class that are at your level. And so that live feeling, I think that a lot of my videos has just fundamentally made them different than most of the other Go content that's online.
I know that, in the ones that I've been doing with Michael Redmond, for example, and things that we've struggled with, and Michael is a very good teacher. He's done TV in Japan for years, and he's really good at communicating, fairly complex things simply. But he also, he loves, as I'm sure you've seen, he loves to go deep.
Yeah.
really, really deep. And there's a sort of tension between, as you know, there's so much below the surface of this seemingly simple game.
Yeah. Well, I remember my first time I met Michael Redmond, right? It was at the Seattle Go Congress 6 years ago. And it was just like, oh, that's Michael Redmond. Oh, you know, you have your little like schoolgirl excited, like, "Hee." And he was coming on, and there was just a group of like 4 or 5 of us, and he was just going through some people's games. And man, the guy is incredible, right? Just through and through, going through these variations that were so long, going into these concepts that were just, you know, as clear as day, right? Like white needs to attack here, here's what black is thinking about, here's where white wants to make territory, separating the board into these different areas, and then playing out these 50 move sequences as if it's just, you know, pouring water from a cup.
Right.
Like, you know, he plays a 50 move sequence and goes, oh yeah, white would expect something like this.
Of course.
Of course.
We're all not, yeah.
And so we're all just amazed, we're all just like, ha, you know, just wonderfully entertained and just learning. So, yeah, what a you know, special human being. We're so fortunate that he speaks so, you know, English, right? Like,
It's very, very
yeah,
helpful.
so our Go community is so lucky.
How did you personally get into Go? What got you on the path?
The short answer is I like games.
Okay.
And,
Which
and
other
the second half of that
games?
short answer is Go is the best game. I mean, I had a math teacher who was kind of interested, and he taught us in high school and kind of progressed a little by little from there in
Okay.
various fits and starts. But the short answer is Go is it's the best game, and I like games.
Okay. Any other favorites we should know about?
As far as favorite games?
Yeah.
Oh,
Always curious
well,
about
there's
other
a lot of
games.
games. Well, I'm also a game designer. I'm not sure if you know that.
I knew that and I'd forgotten that. Thank
Okay.
you for reminding
Yeah,
me.
so I have
okay,
a
that's
few commercial
natural
games
then.
that people can. Yeah. they can-
So tell people.
This is not the place for
Oh, come
self-promotion.
on.
This is we're doing the
All right,
sacred.
so tell us
human
about
experience
your favorite games that you didn't design.
that I didn't design. Yeah, so I especially love a lot of the Euro board games that come out that are very economic driven. I would say that's you know definitely a thing I like to do a couple times a month if possible. You know,
Mhm.
just go play some Euro games. But more traditional games that are more widespread that people would know about. I was a contract bridge player for a number of years.
Wow.
Yeah, which is if you want to play the Cadillac of card games.
That's
Contract Bridge.
serious. I'm impressed.
It's sad that it's dying out. Right?
I
It's really seen as this
know.
old ladies game, right? You know, it gets together,
Yeah.
and it's not.
Maybe
that.
it'll come back.
It's tough. Someone needs to make like a bridge crossed with StarCraft, crossed with you know, Fortnite.
Do you hear that? Okay, let's do
And
that.
if they can make that game, you know, maybe.
Could be a lot of
maybe.
money in that. You know, I could just sort of see a whole sort of punk ethos coming into Contract Bridge. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. You never say never, right?
Crazier things.
Very cool. And so people are just getting into the game, seeing this game for the first time, and it can be really intimidating. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
even setting aside the rules, right? I mean, I've seen, and you've seen this, right? When you're out in public playing Go, people come by and they're fascinated. It's a really interesting looking game, looks really cool, and they look at it and they're like, "What is this?" So, when people do that with you, what do you say? What's your sort of elevator pitch?
Okay,
on
okay.
Go?
So that situation you want to avoid, right? And I think that situation arises because people are coming over and looking at two people who know what they're doing playing a game on this board that is just incredibly confusing, right? There's
Sure.
like you just see this thing, and I remember when I was starting Go, I just called it a moo cow because I thought it, you know, the black and white stones were patterning, and you know, I was like, no matter what it looks like, it's just a moo cow. And the thing is, you want to avoid that situation, right? What you want to do is present Go in a way that is accessible. And so I certainly advocate beginners. You should be playing 9x9 games. Just play as many 9x9s as you can think about, right?
And there's a 9x9 tournament here at the Go Congress.
There is. And,
Yeah,
and
9x9 and 13x13 too, I believe.
that's right. We do run those things. I was the 9x9 champion last year. I know we said no self-promotion. Or
You said no
I said no
self-promotion,
self-promotion, but I'm
Promote
actually
away.
kind of strangely proud of that.
9x9 is harder than it looks.
It's
It's a deep game.
It's a really deep game, and man, it's about, it really is like you have to read the game to the end kind of game, right?
Yeah. There's a lot going on in that little 9x9. So just for folks, I mean, this is a 19x19 board, or you're seeing
Yeah.
there, and 9x9 seems like it would be a piece of cake, but not so much.
It's just a different game, you know. It's its own little thing. And also 9x9, you see mirror go happen a lot too.
Yeah, that's right.
And so you get really good at mirror go and breaking mirror go and these other strategies.
Not a whole lot of
So
room
there-
to work in there.
Yeah, that you don't really see happen on 19.
I'm thinking, let me just see if I can get some eye contact with the team here. I'm seeing a lot of moves on the board here. Ryan, are you thinking it's time to take a look at this game? Is there enough for you to take a look at? I'm saying, oh yeah, all right, cool. So, all right, well, we are really privileged to not only have Ryan Lee come in and sit in the commentator's chair, but Julie Burrall, who some of you may remember from last year when she came and did some hosting. So Julie's going to be back as well. So we are going to bounce the commentary over to them. It's been wonderful having you stop by, and congratulations, seriously. I mean, Teacher of the Year is I think it's a big honor.
Thank you.
I believe.
Yeah.
Good
thank
work.
you, Chris. Yeah, thank you.
All right, over to you guys. All right, so this is clearly not Ryan and Julie. I was a little too quick on that. The team had to get them all mic'd up and all of that. So it's Chris and Steven over on this side. And Steven's actually going to be wearing a bit of a producer's
This
hat
chair is much
tonight.
nicer. It's just
You like this? It's very
couches.
comfy.
Yeah.
So, but you had a little Redmond Cup news that you wanted to share.
Yes, I wanted to make sure everyone knows the results of that game because that just happened this afternoon. So to catch everyone up to speed with what's actually going on at the Congress, we actually just had the first game of the 2019 Redmond Cup Finals in the senior division.
Tell us what the Redmond Cup is.
Yeah, sure. I think already we had Paul this morning talk about it a little bit. It was a pretty. It's always a pretty good tournament for youth players, I think, in North America. So, of course, when we get to the final stages, we will have two finalists from each division. So, like the senior division, which is, I think, up to like 18 years of age. And then these guys are like both 17 this year now. So, it'll be the last time they play each other in finals. And I think the junior division is like up to 13, if I'm being correct. So, like, those guys will still be... they'll have many years to go. They can still play in the senior division as they go older and older and graduate from the junior division.
Start taking on these guys in the Masters.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like Jeremy and Aaron, these two are really wonderful talents for North American Go. Their names are going to come up. When we see them representing our country and in future international competitions. So. We've actually been following their games since they were like 12, 13 years of age. So we've been doing this for like 5 years now. And to watch them grow is really, really amazing.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. So actually, the results of the first game came in, so I wanted everyone to know. Actually, Aaron won the first game already. I think he beat Jeremy. So looks like, Aaron is doing really well in this tournament, not just this year, but actually overall, I think he has the most victories. So he actually has 6 Redmond Cups to his name.
I've seen him play. He is tough. He's really tough.
Right, definitely. I hope we're going to get to that because we saw Jeremy play this morning, and he had a pretty good performance, I thought, at least in the first half. And then Aaron, Aaron's is also one of the very bright prospects we have here. So hopefully we'll get him on board one at some point in the Masters.
We can get him in for an interview.
Sure.
Work on that.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll wait until they win, right? Because it would be pretty cool because Aaron will have his 7th record-breaking Redmond Cup victory, which is something I don't think that's ever been done by any other player in the history of the tournament. Of course, if Jeremy wins, that's also going to be pretty nice for himself. He will have his 2nd title. I think if you win any of these tournaments, it's going to be a huge achievement.
So I have to do this just because Babs has been waiting for it. So here's the tennis reference. Congratulations. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I'm a Roger fan, but congratulations to Novak Djokovic, right? I mean, come on, they went right down to the 5th, and then also there was this cricket going on. The guys made me watch cricket. Okay. You guys are all into games, so we're just doing a quick sports update here. And I guess Babs wants me to talk about this game that they're going to talk about. All right, fine. Round 2 of the Masters tournament is going to be very exciting. We've already been watching it. Lots of exciting stuff. They're moving I think they have made the mistake of thinking they're in the Lightning tournament. They're playing very fast. Of course, Mark Lee and Yongfei Gay. And
I'll tell you what, either way, it's going to be fantastic. We really hope that we're going to see a very exciting match.
We're going to see a great commentary right now from both Ryan and Julie. So now, for real, over to you guys.
And maybe we can hear more about that last set in tennis later from you, probably, in the next... Okay, so... So we want to mention this is likely being recorded from the perspective of white, which is Mark.
Yeah, you might notice that the first move is not in the top right corner, which is typically where we are supposed to be playing. So, interesting choice by black. Typically, recently, many players have been playing this opening with the 3-3 invasion. And when white blocks, black will play just the knight's move. This is sort of the recent trend in openings. So I was slightly surprised when black approached and then attached. So it seems like Yongfei might be up to something. So normally, for this variation, we know that white should probably Atari and connect. And this is kind of what we know about this corner before. And then black could extend up. And this is kind of viewed as kind of the normal variation. Now, in the game, white chose to play the tiger's mouth here. So the difference between this one is now when black protects, when white extends, black doesn't want to extend anymore because in this case, white's shape is much stronger. And also, white did not exchange this Atari, which would reduce the liberties of the 3 stones on the outside. So there's a subtle difference, but in here, it doesn't matter that much right now.
So why might he be choosing just stylistic, his own style?
Yeah.
Okay.
This move surprised me because usually we say this move is worth a lot because after black plays here, locally this shape is very strong. And also on the other hand, this corner becomes much weaker and might be subject to a pincer and attacked. So I'm slightly surprised that the players, none of the players played in this area. So Mark approached here, and we see a 2-space extension. Oh. Yeah, so to answer to the knight's move, black didn't choose to extend, likely because of this, these stones on the right. Over here, because these stones are already low, it's not ideal for black to play low again and give white the influence on this side. Also, this pincer stone might also get attacked. So black is choosing to fight instead of extending. So now we see this push and cut, and it's going to be
Messy.
quick complications happening. So yeah, so white extends now, and we can see this is like a cross-cut windmill, right? We see this kind of windmill pattern that often happens when you do a cross-cut, and a lot of things you have to worry about already. So recently, I've seen in a game, or I've actually played in a game where black extends, and because here it's actually the low pincer, and in this case it matters quite a bit. Because if it's the high pincer and when black extends, there's not a big weakness in the shape. But if it's a low one, there's an obvious, it's an elephant jump now, right? So there's an obvious weakness here. So that's why typically black doesn't extend this way and black pushes here. But if black pushes here, then it's, I can kind of show something. If white jumps first and extends, then when black hanes, locally, it's actually very difficult for white in this life and death situation. If white turns, then black will extend. And in a life and death situation in the corner, it's very difficult for white, and it's at most a ko. And also actually in this case, you might notice white can Atari and turn. But the direction for the white stones are not very good, right? Because black already has these stones, which very naturally limits the extent of this influence here.
So he wanted to go with the option that requires more fighting.
Yeah, I think he's really going for it, which is Yongfei's style.
Because this is very strong, maybe he just thinks he may as well go all
Yeah,
out.
that is possible, yeah. Now,
Just tear it
so
up.
now we see the windmill, and white played the knight's move. And of course, black will play another nice move to escape.
And white says
And then-
no.
And then black attaches. So this is the key here. After white pulls back, if black pulls this stone back, then white can jump out. And now we can see that white doesn't have any connection issues. If black pushes, white can extend here. And if black keeps pushing, then white will block. So in that case, if there's no connection issue, these two groups are going to be split off, and that's definitely not ideal for black. So actually, he's playing here, but it seems that the corner is going to be in trouble. So personally, I'm not too familiar with this situation, so we're going to have to see how they play out this. Okay.
Is that
So of course white would capture that stone after black took this. And now black pincers.
so? Is he?
Interesting. I think if black just crawls, he's obviously not happy with this result. If white just simply lets black crawl under, black's obviously not getting much. Second line, and white is pretty comfortable. So
he wants to kind of put pressure on this or attack this directly, and he's not too worried about these stones. Or...
I'm not sure. The question is, does this move work? So of course, white would block. That's a very direct move. And he played the Kosumi. So now, so he's really going for outside, right? He's not even too worried about this group. He's kind of just leaving it there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's fine with losing this to just get some influence on the
but
outside.
I'm not sure if I like this result for black. So if white plays the Kosumi here, black might cut the outside stone off. And even though white can still capture, but black can cut this off. So in the game, white turned. And then when black turns, white was forced to play this empty triangle here.
So white's not happy enough with this corner either.
He's trying to get some more liberties so that when black encloses, it's going to be a bit weaker.
Okay. Okay.
I think that's what he's trying to do. And then white will try to reduce the liberties. And wedging is actually a good way to reduce the liberties, because normally if you play here, black will connect. We can see that black has 2, 4, and 6 liberties, right? And white has 2, 4, 6, 7. So white will win this fight no matter what, but it's really how, if white can reduce these liberties more, the outside influence would be much weaker, because then these two moves, neither of these might be sente. So that's a white, that's probably why he wedged. And Atari, okay.
So black's responding in order to make it easier for him to enclose white.
Yeah, he's trying to get
create-
more out of the sacrificing these stones here. And then descends.
Okay, so all of a sudden we jump over,
Yeah,
and
so-
he's like, "I'm trying to build a wall," and white's like, "Okay."
Right,
Done
so you
with
might,
all
right. It is kind of interesting. White tanuki'd here, and so let's look at this corner and see what's going on. So of course, our first instinct as black is if white tanuki, let's reduce. So let's reduce, and white will descend. Then if black keeps reducing, white will fill from behind. And then if black reduces again, then white will win the liberty race, white will Atari.
Right.
So now if black connects, then black is 1 liberty short. So
So
actually,
if black gets everything he wants out of this influence,
yeah.
now is it worth it?
Right, so at the cost of being gote, right? Yeah. So it's an interesting judgment call. My first instinct is actually that it seems okay for black because it's very strong. But this type of game is really hard to play, right? You just have influence and your opponent has all the territory. So really the question for black is how do you convert this into territory? Really?
And over here you can see a little bit better, right? The relationship between that very strong group.
But these are kind of both
but-
strong.
Right. So do you think they're actually too close
Yeah,
together?
I think they're a bit too over-concentrated. Of course, black can get this move eventually, but it's only a few lines.
Yeah.
So which is why white reduced this one, and this side is much further in, and thus has a much more potential.
Right. And since that was Gote, now white has another move here.
Yeah. So I think it's still hard to say, but I think, well, I guess it's all preference, really. So it's like influence is like one of the is one of like the hardest things in Go. It's you really don't know how much it's worth, right?
Right.
It's like getting coupons, right?
It's harder for weaker players like me to utilize influence properly so that it actually turns into
It is hard.
money
isn't it?
later.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think players on all levels we feel it. Influence is hard. It's much easier to just get the territory, and then try to limit.
Right. I guess it's just in this situation, if I were looking at it for happened in my game and then white played this, it'd be like, oh, okay, it's all for nothing. All of this, and it's here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got another pincer
Pincer.
and more fighting.
Yeah, the pincer seems a little strange because here we saw like because both of these connection, actually they might not be directly sente. So actually I should also mention, so in the previous variation that we just showed, when black connected, white descended on this side. However, if white ignores one more time, then it's actually still ko. If white Ataris here, black will keep reducing, and then white can keep reducing. And now, of course, black can't connect, so black has to start the ko from the outside. So even if white tanukis, it's still a ko, which means that black may not be able to get these right away.
So in case we have any very new players, a ko would be this position where you can see that both stones would be in Atari. And after, for example, black captures, white can't play there on the next turn. They have to play a move in a different part of the board. And usually they try to make that move one that needs to be responded to, and then they can come back on the next move and then capture it back. And then black saying can't play immediately into that space. If that was a decent explanation.
That's actually one of
Because
the most difficult
I know
parts
earlier,
about Go,
if you were listening to Nick Sabicki talking about how bringing up co's for new players is kind of a tricky business.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
So
Well, yeah. We'll try to simplify a bit. So black may not be able to connect all of these in sente. So let's keep looking at. So I was gonna say something about the pincer. Actually, it seems odd that because this side is so strong, I think it might make more sense to push white towards that side. Right? If white has to
right, okay,
go here, I have a lot of stones, which means I can keep attacking this. But in the game, black pincered here.
so he clearly wants to make something
he wants
out
to
of that.
make something out of it instead of using it to attack.
So maybe, or he could still use it to attack this, which is, or
Well, he is giving white the chance of getting another territory, right? If white invades the corner, white can still get another territory. And then if we play this variation, then when white jumps out, white can get the corner, but black will keep expanding this. So the question is really, is this enough for black? Sorry.
so this actually looks pretty good. If I'm just looking at it for what he wanted out of this wall, right? If he gets another,
Yeah, just eyeballing it, it seems okay. But maybe we can actually just quickly say for sure, actually. So if we say if black gets territory up to this line, then we have about 10 and then 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and then 35, and maybe about 40 points. So this group would be about 40, and then we have about 15 on that side. Of course, plus some more influence. But it seems, so if black has 55, then white would need about 48, right? Something like that. Yeah, so the Comey is 7.5, so black plays first, so white gets some compensation, which is called Comey. But we can see white does have a lot of territory, actually. So in this corner, white has, so there are 6 dead stones, so that's 12 points. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's about a 20-point corner.
Okay.
Plus.
So he has to make up 28 points on the rest of the board.
Yeah, exactly. So we have about, I don't know, like maybe about 5 there, and we have 15. So 35. So white needs to make about 12 here. But
Which doesn't sound too
yeah,
hard to do.
Which doesn't
in a
sound too
corner.
hard to do,
okay.
right? Because it's still white's turn, and white could just defend the corner.
And now the game's over. He just he got the amount of points. It's done.
Yeah. So it might be close actually, because we only counted black territory up to this line, and black might have more potential than what we actually predicted. Yeah, so I think in the top left, it might seem like it's really good for white after capturing, but if black can get both of these in Sente, then it seems that black getting the wall is also worth quite a bit. So I think if I were to say here, which is a hard judgment call, but it seems that it's going to be still close after the top after that huge complicated variation in the top left.
Right, and would you have chosen to do something other than jumping into the corner then?
I think, well, that's another hard thing, you know. You're asking all the hard questions. So yeah, I mean, if jumping the corner would seem kind of close, then we might kind of
do something
on the outside, which is what Mark chose, right? So this is at the risk of another weak group, right?
Right.
After jumping out. So what white want after the attachment is, if black answers, then white will come back here. So this is actually a very important move in terms of eye space, because it not only makes an eye on the side, it's also important for this potential eye here. So white's almost alive after playing this move. So right now,
never
black
alive. You can only be almost alive.
But of course, if black plays here, if white answers, then black can come back here, or exchange this hane and then come back. Now, of course, this group doesn't have any eye shape, so white would have to jump out. Of course, black will then gain something by keep putting pressure on this group, and then potentially making more territory on the sides here. So white is also not happy. So you can see in these games, these players are always trying to second guess what their opponent is trying to get, right? If you want something, I'm not going to give it to you, right? And
so he thinks maybe black wants the corner, so I just have to take it, like regardless.
So if white answers, then he's giving black what he wants.
Right.
So that's why in the game he just took the corner instead. And Kosumi. So white is going to get cut here. So after this exchange, when black, so black next move he turned, and now so right now white has 2 weaknesses. If white descends here, black will Atari and then connect. And now these stones are carved. Even though the corner is locally alive, these stones seems still a bit dangerous.
And this is starting to make more sense.
Right.
So.
But it seems that playing this Tiger's Mouth, it's obvious black will capture the stone. Or after the exchange,
Okay.
capture it. So,
I thought I got you for a second.
and then we'll force white to jump.
Okay.
So it seems like it's going to be a more longer game now, right? So white now reduced black's influence by quite a bit, at the expense of black developing some territory on the side.
Right. Okay,
white,
so now take.
So white protected this because, of course, this group is weak, and now black played this move. This is a big move that I mentioned in the beginning.
Right.
That is.
And now white's group is looking weaker over here.
It weakens this group, but also it kind of opens this area up for potential to make some points. Yeah. So this is a very big move. And now, of course, after everything, we have the last corner, and I suspect white will probably do something here. Okay.
Okay, came back.
I should stop predicting. So white extends here now. This is a sente move, and I think he's trying to get a bit strengthen this group a bit by pushing.
And do you think he's gearing up to do something because
I
of
think
that,
it's
or
more of
just defense?
Yeah, I think it's more of a defense.
Okay.
Because remember, these two stones are pretty much sente, right?
Right.
So I think he's kind of defending this move. And white now after this exchange, white can easily make an eye here. And since there's a gote eye here, white can just extend, and there will be an eye on the side as well. So I think this group is more or less okay now after white protected here.
Okay. So now it comes back to this.
Yeah, so white is worried about his corner group here. And
everyone's ignoring everyone.
right. So yeah, let's take a look at these sequence of moves. So it seems like this move. So after this move, white exchanged this and then protected. So that was that sequence. And then black, so right at this point, it seems like it's black's turn. And of course, I think it's really striking that in this side,
It's so open,
there's
right?
only
There's
one
nothing
stone there, right? And I really like to say, even before extending, you should always go to corners first. And of course, none of these players are playing here, but in this case, it's a really different case, right? After everything that happened in the top left, we have a huge influence situation. Black has a lot of potential, and white's got a weak group here, and this group, which white just recently protected. So it's more of like an attack and defense game rather than a taking big points game. So I guess it's slightly different. But having said that, as black, I would probably still not resist the temptation to get some points by approaching this corner. So in the game, black decided
he wants white to respond here, though.
He wanted
so
to,
that's why.
Right. He wanted to keep the pressure on this group.
And just to not do what they want you to do, then white comes here.
Yeah. So white. So black splits the side. I think black really needs to get something here, because remember what we said. Black's moyo was split off by this group, right? And if this group can live without white losing points, anything major, then it would seem like black would not have enough territory, right? So black only has this side here and that, right? There's only a little bit over there, while white has this corner, that corner, and some potential.
Right. So earlier we saw when black got this whole, territory, then still needing to get some points here. And so because he didn't get as much of this, he'll need to,
Right.
get a lot more
Yeah.
on this side, or that side.
Yeah, so it's really, he's got to take that pressure and convert that into points somehow, or capture the group if he can.
Right.
Yeah, so right now he by playing this move, he's kind of, I'll leave that there and I'll attack it later. So he thinks that this side is bigger right now.
Okay.
So sometimes when there's no immediate way of attack, you might want to do something else.
Right, he can't kill it now, but maybe a situation over here will allow him to come back.
But if you attack it and you make it alive, then that's done, right? There's no threat
Right.
anymore into that group. So, large knight's move. In white attached. This move is very interesting. Normally when there's a black stone here, white should descend. Because after the attachment, in the regular Joseki, the reason why this stone matters is if white Ataris here and extends, when black Ataris on both sides, white is exposed to a weakness. So these are all forcing moves by black. White doesn't have any choices. But when black extends, you can see that this stone is gonna help this whole corner, because normally white would play here, but of course white can't do that because now these two stones would get captured. So if white has to come back here, then black can capture the corner stones. So with that stone helping,
White would need to make a more solid connection.
so white shouldn't be able to Atari on the outside. I shouldn't say can't, because then he'll probably play there. Right, so the wedge works now, and
that's what
right,
exactly
so
what
white
happens.
defended back, and yes. So actually, locally, black might be pretty happy with this result, settling here. Okay, so after settling, he came back.
Okay,
and
so they both kind of had a peaceful moment.
yeah, moment of truce.
Okay, so now white's just making eye shape.
Yep. He's probing black a little bit, making some sente moves to make some ice. And then
Okay, now he comes in for.
Actually, now might be a good time to do some positional judgment, because I think most of the big areas are settled, so we can actually count the game up a little bit and see what's going on. So before we said that, this corner was about 20.
Right.
So here we have about, so there's one there and maybe two there, so
Three.
3. We have maybe 10, 12, I guess about 12, maybe 13. So we have 16 plus 20, 36, and we have about 13 here. So nearly 50 points for white. And let's look at black's territory. So we got, so if we pretend all of these are sente, right? So we've got 10 here, 12, 14, 16, 17. And I'm going to count this line as well. So about 21 here. Here I think we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Series a
7,
little
8,
more
9.
difficult.
Maybe we'll just count 10 points for that.
Okay.
So we've got 30, maybe 4 points here, 34. And then we have this side. We can maybe do, so if this side all is
It
solid.
looks more than 16, so we would say black's ahead. Mostly.
Are we at 34? Okay.
We're at 34.
But we have to have Comey, right?
Right, okay.
So we have 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I'm just doing it very approximately, but maybe 25. So if black has 25 here, plus that 34, then we
So
have
59.
59.
So ahead by 1.5.
Yeah, so close game,
So it's
right?
really
But
close right now.
remember, it's white's turn right now.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
So I think after that big fight, we have a settlement. So I
And
think
everything is mostly settled, so just
So
comes down to
as
what
we
happens.
finish up middle game, now we're going to move on to end game, and we'll see how these players battle out.
And we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with more. And the game was moving so fast, hopefully it's not over yet.
All right, what an amazing game and great commentary. Thank you both. I will be right back because that game is moving. Keith, I was joking with them earlier that I think this, of course, is a Masters game, board one, but they're playing so fast. I thought maybe they got confused. They got it in your Lightning tournament. This is Keith Arnold, man of many hats, as you can see. But for the purposes of this, he's the tournament director for the Lightning tournament, which is going on just a little ways away. I got to tell you, one of my favorite tournaments. I love to watch and to shoot photos of the Lightning tournament because the stones are flying. So, Keith Arnold, Lightning tournament, 20 seconds. What is it?
Lightning tournament is a speed go tournament, 10 minutes per player, no overtime. So it's sudden death after 10 minutes, and we play AGA rules, so you have to fill the dame, and that's basically you've got eight minutes to play your moves and 2 minutes to make sure you can still finish the game.
It's amazing, and it's played on full board. This is not 9 by 9. This is not 13 by 13. This is full 19 by 19.
And the key to winning is taking your time. I think if you look at the games, the people that lose, the people that play too fast at the beginning
Get themselves
and
in
get
trouble.
in hopeless trouble, and then it doesn't take much thought to keep your foot on their neck. Obviously, the people who play too slow are also going to lose.
Absolutely.
It's definitely like everything in Go, a balance.
We're going to talk just a little bit more about that, but big shout out, welcome to all of our Twitch viewers. I'm glad you found us. I'm glad you found Go. usgo.org is where you can find out more about this game. Check it out and check us out. Go clubs around the country are looking to welcome you in, like your Go club in Baltimore, actually, speaking of which. How you've been running it so many years? It's almost as though you invented Lightning Go. I mean, how did you get into it?
I would not say that I invented it by any stretch of the imagination, but I always liked playing the fast game. And I don't tell you the truth, I don't remember how I ended up being in charge of it. I did invent the pairing system.
Okay.
But
you have to tell people about the pairing system.
Basically, there's no sign-up sheet. People just show up to the room. I line everybody against the wall by rank, and then I just grab them 6 at a time and tell them to get away from me. And obviously, it's paired and it runs itself because the tournament is in fact going on, and I'm sitting here talking to Chris. So.
Yeah, it is very close. It's a round robin, so people play and then you.
5 games. Yeah. So 5 games at most. They're going to be 20 minutes apiece. So hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play because unlike your morning round, which is 90 minutes in the U.S. Open, so those games go on for like 3 hours, and so
these games are more important, but they are
absolutely, of course. But I will tell you, people take them. I mean, they're not rated. We should be clear. There are rated tournaments and not rated tournaments.
No, but there are absolutely people that take it seriously, and the same people tend to walk up with me as the winner of their tables year after year. There's definitely a skill to playing at the right pace, and for the most part, it's a young man's game or a young woman's game.
That's right.
But there are a couple of people who come to the Congress every year, a couple of the gray hairs who win their tables every year. It's not always the young people.
I will tell you that when I played, I've always been afraid when I see a kid.
Yeah, when I would pair it myself and I would actually play, I would look for a bunch of gray hairs and put me with them, and I would avoid the little kids. But I don't do that anymore.
Right. Keith, it's been great having you. We're going to have you back in a little bit, but we've got to get back to this exciting game. I don't think our commentators even had a chance to get a break here. The game has been progressing quite well. They're not quite lightning, but they're moving very fast. So we're going to throw it back to Ryan and to Julie. Take it away, guys.
So, they were moving very fast.
Yeah,
they were
they
moving
are.
very fast, and then, all of a sudden, they stopped. So now they're moving very slow, and there's actually not much more of the game that's, that's progressed. So, but we'll go over what's happened, and there must have been something that is causing them to take a really long time to think now.
Yeah, so now we have attach.
Okay.
And White just decided he wants to get some territory here. And also, of course, it's going to eliminate Black's eye space as well. So let's take a little bit of a look at this attachment. I'm sure most of us have seen things like these and have pondered and wondered, what's the way to respond? So actually, the fourth line attachments are not as common as the second line attachment.
Right, I've seen that a lot.
Yeah,
Definitely a lot more.
it happens quite frequently, and it's kind of like a mini trap. So
Right.
it's kind of tempting you to Hane, right? I can capture this stone. But actually, that's exactly what black wants, because after this Atari, a quick Sente, and white connects, and then black can Atari again.
Right.
So if you capture the stone, it's after these moves, black has pushed this over. So although white gained 3 points here, it's definitely not as much as the influence black gained in the center. So it's like a mini trap.
Right. Because it's always fun to capture a stone, but really, I mean, it's the stone and then under, it's
Right,
2 points.
it's only 2 points here, right? Yeah. So, yeah, but
So
I
we do
think-
see that a lot more, but it also might just be because it's on the second line, meaning there's probably far less reading to do than if you do something that's on the fourth line.
Right. So the correct move, though, to respond to this you would just let them pull back most of the time, and then white will protect this cut here. So black could do that, but it kind of helps white build this little house here. So black wanted, I guess, more. And at first glance, this actually looks like an overplay because, well, what if white Hanes?
Right, you'd think it causes some issue with this group now.
Right,
That was
this-
previously settled.
This group has, well, it's not completely settled. It's got some potential eye space, but it might be still out in the open. So in this case, actually, because of this exchange, black, after extending, can actually capture this stone. So after the Atari, black can just simply push this over, and this would allow no room for escape for these three. So this attachment, white actually can't simply be very aggressive.
It's really great when you hear a pro say simply, and then they play out like 20 moves. You're just simply.
Well, okay, wrong wording there. Okay.
No, you simply, so it's right for you.
Maybe I meant directly. Yeah, maybe that's a better word. More
directly.
This is like a direct kind of counterattack, right? If you do that, I'm just gonna directly cut and then see what happens, right? But instead, white shows a more indirect way of going about it. So extending is really indirect because white is actually going under. White is just taking away the eye space now. So now black connected. Because if black extends, when white extends, it's actually Sente because now you can see that there's a cut. If black plays somewhere else, then there's a potential cut here. Mm-hmm. So by connecting, white will also extend, but now the cut is less imminent.
But still there.
But still there. Now, what jumps? Yeah, nice move. So, by getting some points here, it seems that now we might have a cutting situation. So, you can see now, although there's two stones here, and it seems like we have a bunch of really nice shape moves, right? These are all nice moves. But there's a potential cut now. So if black pushes and attaches here, then if white pushes, then there's this clamp. So after the clamp, this will capture the stone on the side. So this clamp could be potentially dangerous, and I think black would have to exploit something like that, right? Because after this,
He would have to.
he lost quite a few points here, right? So to kind of get it back, he's going to have to do something, right? Remember, each move in Go is really an exchange, right? You play a move and they play a move. So
Did white have to play the knight's move? there?
That's a good question. Did white have to play the knight's move?
He's basically asking now for black to just.
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of leaving that weakness out there, isn't it? I'm not sure. So if white extends, it will kind of weaken the center, actually. But I think no matter what he does, there's going to be a small connection issue. I guess the question is really, what's worse? But I actually, yeah, right now, I haven't fully read the situation. I've only kind of just, at a glance, looked at this a bit. But I think we're almost caught up, so let's see what Yongfei did in the actual game.
Okay.
So
So there's a cut.
he attached.
As
Yes,
expected.
this is a very, very direct and aggressive move. So white extends.
Oh, so we have a quick time update. Black has 41 minutes left, and white has an hour and 4 minutes. Is that? Wait.
Yeah.
Yes. I think.
Oh, so so we were,
Yes.
we were correct
Okay.
that they had a lot
They have a lot of time left
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So the rest of the game might progress very slowly.
So right, so this attachment, if white pushes here, then we were gonna have what I showed earlier is obviously white cannot connect because after black plays here, all of these stones will get cut off. But because black didn't exchange this, when white pushes here, white also can't push out. So now white can't push, so white played here. But by playing here though, when black pushes, and white has to connect, and black will push through. So now black has cut these center two stones off. So we're really accelerating in terms of the pace of the game. Because now it's really, can white live? Is a big question. And, well, I guess Mark will tell us. So, white extends. It seems kind of dangerous, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's
So now,
all
now Black
surrounded.
has all of these walls. He
Yeah.
spent all the game building giant walls, and
Yeah. All these walls.
he wasn't far, and he wasn't behind even points wise.
Because he has
Right.
this side. He has
So
that
when we
side.
last checked, it was a really close game with regard to the points, and now we see that Black has all of these walls.
Now white's ahead in points because he's
Right,
getting
okay.
gained points.
So
yeah, it seems like these two stones are, I don't know, they're kind of just floating there, right?
right,
It's really hard to make eyes out of nothing, actually. It's
In
a
the
lot-
center, right?
Especially in the center, right? It's easier. It's the easiest in the corner, right, and easier on the side. But in the center, it's the hardest. So, yeah, I mean, especially without that many weaknesses, right? We said that these two are pretty much sente, and there's only like maybe a little slight weakness here, but look at how far white has to go to try to connect back to home, right? This is going to be difficult.
yeah, he pretty much has to just live on his own.
Yeah, that's a very difficult task, and I think most players at this situation would take black.
Yes.
Now, white extended. So that's a sente move. I think he's trying to. Maybe he's trying to cut this off. Yeah, he's trying to
Just
threaten this.
kill
this
something we
this
weren't-
wedge weakness.
Yeah. Kill something that wasn't obviously killable.
Yeah, so this is pretty much black's only weakness, and
Just deal some
and white's threatening here. So this is an interesting move. If black tries to do something on this side, there's going to be a potential wedge and connect. At least white's going to have this sente, which is going to help the center build some eyes. So I guess the more realistic, what's more realistic for white is to actually just make some eyes rather than connecting back, because I think it's way too
Right.
far
Right. That's
to connect back.
far. So he might be able to threaten
Potentially some
Black
weaknesses
enough
here.
to
Yeah.
make two eyes.
Yeah, it seems very difficult. Oh, black connected.
Okay.
That seems a very safe move. Is he very happy with
So,
the game? Right now? I think
Maybe he feels he does not need to kill white.
maybe. But I think my first instinct would be just separate and see what happens. But of course, I'm not playing the game. I'm just trying to find a variation that would be most interesting. But yeah, I guess he's more worried about the weakness. But actually, right now, a better way to protect would be to Atari first, because if white doesn't respond, there's actually a cut here that will capture the 2 stones. So before connecting, black can actually get a little bit of an endgame in there as well. And wow, he's just jumping and just dancing in the middle of all these walls.
So, so it just looks like, okay, now black's taking
Yeah,
these
so black is
sente
going to
moves.
exchange the sente. Yeah, white
Okay.
extends. So it's like
Okay,
what
so
we predicted.
right. Okay, here we go. That was this is what I'm wondering, if he's going to really try to kill this group.
So this is an attacking instinct. If black simply surrounds on the outside, it's not a very easy task to reduce. For instance, if we see something like this, the center is very quickly gaining some points, right? Oh, sorry, not points. What am I saying? eyes. So
2 points.
The eye buildup is, yes, 2 points, two eyes, 2 separate points. So black is attacking here, and am I looking at this correctly?
Yes. So
The next move for white is this move.
so I remember
I am
when
shocked.
I kind of remember when I used to just try to make moves that looked like they might make eyes. And I would always make this shape
Yes.
just over and over again if it was in the center.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point, right? So, yeah, it's very common for us to make these shapes. Do you know what this shape is called?
I just wait. Oh, no, I forgot. I do know, but I forgot. Wait, what is it?
It's called a monkey jump, right?
Oh, wait.
Is it a monkey jump?
Wait.
It's not
The
a
monkey jump's the one with the.
Oh, it's on the side,
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. What's
Dog-
dog's head?
Dog
Really?
face, dog's head. Oh, it's the
Dog
dog
face.
Oh, okay.
Okay, maybe I didn't. Know
I
what
stand
that was.
corrected.
I just had so many things going through my head. Like, was it
Oh,
the
so
naked mole
right,
rat?
So
Is
so
it
the
the
bigger
like?
one
I had all these.
is called the horse face jump.
Oh, maybe that's okay.
Horse face, dog face.
Wait,
Giraffe face.
Really?
Okay. No, you made that up. I'm not gonna trust you on that one. Okay, but yeah, that's for making eyes. This is typically the way you go, and also kosumis, right? You're kind of making these kosumis, right?
Right,
And
they look
also
like-
make eyes.
yeah,
But
they
I'm
look like eye
actually
shapes.
really shocked about this.
It's a very
move
basic way of
because it's just diving right into
the most thick part.
right.
Right.
It's like all of these are sent in. It's just trying to cut stainless steel with a knife, right? It's
So is white thinking that they are behind and thinks
No.
just they need to live but also destroy?
yeah. I'm not sure. I don't think this is. It's definitely not something I would play because for example, if black extends and then attaches here, then we can see that after black cutting, if black cuts off white's way of connecting back, there's really nowhere to go, right? And where can white make eyes? You can have the most, maybe one eye here, but it's going to be very hard. It's going to have to look outside the board to get the second eye. So it's going to be very dangerous. And I think we might even see the game drawing to a close actually just by looking at this pace. So black attached, and white's makes a kusumi here.
Right. And we've
But I
caught up
think-
to the actual
I
game
think
now.
all black needs to do is just simply block this group off, and it will be extremely difficult for white to live in here.
Right. So we're just
I think right now, a more reasonable move would be to extend here and at least keep the option of jumping out and connecting out, right?
Mm-hmm.
If black extends, then white could still jump out. And even though it looks like it's far away, but also remember there's also white stones here, And black might need to worry about this connection eventually. So I think that might have been a better strategy.
Okay.
So,
So
yeah.
we're not sure why yet. Maybe we'll find out. So we
But at this
have-
stage, even if white lives, I think in terms of points, if black captures some here, then black would still be ahead. So I would
interesting.
say black is definitely ahead here.
So maybe that's why white decided to play a more risky move to avoid black just making territory threatening to kill
Yeah,
him.
that could be why. Yeah.
Oh,
So we have a few.
we
more
have a few
moves,
more
I think,
moves now.
recently. White jumped.
And then after these moves,
Oh,
we'll
sorry.
take a.
It was black extended, and then white jumped, and black pushes. So
And
of
then-
course white can't connect back just directly because then this would be too much, right? So he's got to connect this back. But now I think this is going to be a pretty obvious weakness.
Right. So now this is becoming more of a problem
So
or an
white
issue.
Ataris, then if white connects here, then black can then cut. And because these two stones, this is a direct sente for black, and these two stones aren't too useful. I don't think white's got too much to do on this side either.
So maybe instead you think black should have just played a solid.
So I think if this is the current move, I think this is what black is probably reading right now, is whether this wedge will work.
Okay. And we will come back to that once there are more moves on the board and we can go over them.
Okay, so let's
we
take
find
a
out what
small
they're
break
thinking.
and let the players think a little bit. This is
Or a bit, because they have a lot of time.
or a lot, right?
All right, we're back. Thanks for watching. Hope you are enjoying this game. As you can see, it has gotten incredibly exciting. Markley, who was having a tough time this morning, is having a bit of a bad night tonight. We're going to have Ryan come back in a little bit, and Julie, and explain what the heck is going on. Ryan is looking pretty skeptical. I think he's about ready to just throw some dirt over the coffin here, but we'll come back and talk more. I've been joined by Samantha Feedy. Samantha, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Samantha is the secretary of the American Go Association, but more importantly, at least for us this week, she's one of our star reporters for the American Go e-journal, and doing basically what we call our color commentary.
Yeah.
Your job is to just go around and see what Samantha thinks is interesting, and you filed a really, as always, wonderful story, and I wanted you to share that with our viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the best things about the Congress this year is the ambiance and just kind of the environment here. The director did a really great job at picking a wonderful venue for us, and we've been spending the evening so far sitting out on the lakefront watching the sunset, and really it's truly magical. So we spend so much time talking about Go here. It's always
Yeah, we
great. Exactly. And I'm sure everyone watching is mostly here for the Go, but there's a lot more to Congress. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to bring to people who aren't able to be here.
And your story does a wonderful job of it. I mean, we are here on the University of Wisconsin campus here in Madison, Wisconsin. It is, Samantha's right, it is just, first of all, the physical campus is just great. It's this really nice mix of these really old kind of classic buildings. We're in one right now, the
Yeah,
Union.
absolutely.
As you can see, you've got this, probably 150-year-old
Yeah.
wood, and it's a beautiful building, but also a lot of modern touches. And at the back, it overlooks Lake Mendota. Is it? Did I get
Mendota,
that
yeah.
right? Okay. Which I understand is frozen solid. People drive on an ice
Oh,
fish
wow.
in the wintertime, is what I've heard.
Interesting.
I would not come here in the winter. It's really cold. But it's gorgeous right now. People are swimming. I saw people swimming
Yeah,
today.
absolutely.
Need to bring my suit tomorrow.
My plans for the day off are going to be to go boating of some sort. I haven't figured
Sign
it out
me
yet,
up.
but getting in the water there. So
Yeah, we like that. And Wednesday is our day off here at the Go Congress, and of course, some of the diehards play in the Die Hard tournament. but a lot of us just try and take advantage of the local scene.
Absolutely.
But now you didn't mention, as far as I'm concerned, the most important part. You sent along some very evocative photos of your evening. Would you like to share?
Well, so one of the great things about this campus here is in this great playing area, we actually do have a German kind of beer hall in the basement.
It's a
Rathskeller, exactly.
Let's just get right to it. No, we just have to say that a lot of the campuses, let's be honest, a lot of the campuses we've been on over the year have been dry.
Exactly, or at the very
Which
least
has not stopped us, I have
enabling.
to say. Yes. So we are in seventh heaven to have a Rathskeller
Absolutely.
here and some pretty decent beverages.
Absolutely, I've been really enjoying the local favorite, the Spotted Cow. I've here
not tried
it's a
that
Wisconsin.
This is a beer.
Yes,
not
a Wisconsin
milk
beer.
drink.
It's not a milk drink, although the ice cream here in the basement are
You
also
are way ahead of me, as usual.
it's my job, right?
That is true.
And yeah, so we can sit out on the terrace with a bucket of beer to share. They really come in plastic buckets, and just have
bucket of beer.
A bucket of beer,
That
yeah.
sounds really good about now. And the cheese curds. Let me just say something. Big fan of cheese curds. We get them back home in
Yeah.
DC. These cheese curds are
So good.
especially when deep fried.
Of course.
I'm pretty sure they are not healthy, but they are
We're
really
on vacation,
delicious.
it doesn't count.
Thank you. All right, we have dispensation. Maybe the combination of the cheese curds with the beer.
It's a special combination. It just wipes everything
rocks.
out. Yeah.
So the point being that we love the Go, and we're hoping that you were enjoying this Go, and in a few minutes we're going to go back to our commentators, but there's a lot more going on at the Go Congress to enjoy. And the other cool thing here, and I think you kind of touched on it in your story, is that there's this, a lot of times with campuses, they're sort of set aside from the community. Here, I can't tell the students from the people in the community, there's a volleyball sort of conference going, or summer camp going on here, although they look pretty obvious because they're incredibly fit, and I say the Go players, not so much.
Speak for yourself, Chris.
I know, Robbie. But
yeah, absolutely. And so often in the summer when we're on these college campuses, we don't have as much of the local scene because there's a little bit of a break. But really here, we've been out there. They've had live music, they've had shows, and it really does feel like we've always been here, and we will be here forever. So
we're never leaving.
This is it.
Samantha, it's been wonderful
absolutely.
having
Thank you so
here.
much.
We are going back. Ryan and Julie are very concerned about what is happening in this game. So let's kick it back to our wonderful commentators.
Welcome back. So before that, wow, I really want to try that beer now.
Yeah, echoing what they said, this campus has been really nice so far. There is that the beer place on the first floor. Definitely a step up from having a dry campus last year, which everyone absolutely followed.
So back to the game, before we took our break, we were looking at this wedge and seeing if that works. And it seems very dangerous for white. So in the game, black actually chose to cap. And although, when black caps, it's still really hard for white to escape here. So it's really looking difficult for white.
And here we have another dog's head. Dog's head.
Dog's head jump.
Mm-hmm. Oh, actually, you were explaining earlier, quickly on this other part of the board, you were explaining earlier that you noticed that white seemed to have made a mistake earlier on when black connected here.
Right.
White did not play here. He answered on the other side. So that means that everything.
So I actually didn't notice this earlier. I was actually pointed out when we were discussing it. Is when white plays here, before I talked about the possibility of when black connecting, white might ignore. And even when white does that, it's still going to be a ko locally. But since white descended here, then this move is now definitely sente, because now if white ignores, then when black blocks, white will not have enough liberties. So there's a subtle difference there, but which means this connection is always going to be sente again, which is even worse news for this lonely white group in the middle of
Yeah, white definitely can't
black
get
walls.
anything from over here because everything is sente for black now.
Right. So
So-
great, we see our wedge here, and white Atari'd on this side. So actually here, I think black even has two options. If black just escapes the stone, I don't think there's anything too much white could do. So if white connects, black can cut. So if this Atari doesn't work, because black can just extend this way. And because of course, all of these are sensitive, this is just so strong.
Right.
Nothing there. And if white Ataris this stone, black can extend. And if white pushes, black can simply ladder the stone and capture it. So even though it seems like white is connecting a bunch of stones back, but remember, all of these stones don't have enough eyes. So it's still going to be a dead group. So
And a huge dead group. So that would
Right.
be, it's definitely, this is what determines the game.
Right. We mentioned earlier that it's either if white lives, white would win, but if white doesn't live, then obviously black would be victorious. So in the game, black chose a simpler variation. So black chose to counter Atari and then cut. So this is actually a simpler way because after cutting these three stones off, we can see that black has ensured this territory over here. And we discussed earlier that it was close before, but now after black gaining about 20 points extra here, black will definitely be leading in terms of territory. So even if this part survived, right, it wouldn't be enough. So white plays.
So white has to do something really crazy, right?
Yes, exactly.
And it's still going on, so he hasn't given up yet. So he has to do something really crazy.
Yeah,
We're just
and
waiting
We can
for
be
him to do something
hopeful,
crazy.
but we'll see. So black is gonna be
So-
relatively reserved, right?
So this confused you, right?
Yeah.
So-
this move.
So this seems to be where everything is happening. This is what's important, is that this lives. Can you think of why, or can you tell them why
No,
this happened?
Which
Okay.
explains why I'm so confused. Is that this move doesn't work, right? It's normally for endgame, white would Atari here, and after black captures, white would Atari. So this is the normal way to take endgame. But of course, we're far from endgame.
Right.
We're
So this
still
is-
fighting here.
So this has nothing to do with this, right?
Right.
Okay, but it can't have anything to do with this.
It can't.
It can't.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure what he's up to.
why? Okay, we might see what
So
he's up
gonna-
to. He
oh,
wants.
So he's. Okay. wedge and
Okay.
Cut. So actually, this is a pretty nice Tsuji. So if we slow down a little bit, after the wedge and cut, if black secures this side, white can actually Atari and then Atari. What this does is, it doesn't seem like it's doing much, right? Just sacrificing stones, but you can see now this group has 3 liberties. So after playing here then, white can capture the corner now. So he's kind of just, okay, I'm just going to leave this group. If I capture the corner, I might still have enough points. So that's
Okay.
probably white's thinking right now.
And do you think that with this, that would be enough points?
That's
mean,
hard to say.
It would have to be this and maybe saving some.
Definitely
saving
saving
this.
this.
Right.
Yeah, so it would be fully save this, get this, and then it might be close.
Okay.
So for now, but if black chose to Atari though. Black didn't.
Right. So black could have just.
Black could have sacrificed the corner, but black
Right. So
captured
black.
the 2
Right.
stones here.
Okay. So maybe.
So this would reduce the loss because then black can Atari, and when white captures and connect back this way. So it maybe reduces the loss a bit, but actually this variation is Gote. So I think black fell for white's trap because after this move, the only way for black to connect these 2 groups is to Atari here and sacrifice that
Which
stone.
is what he does. Atari's there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so white is trying to bully black a lot, right? Because of course, remember when you're behind, you really have nothing to lose. So you want to be playing moves that are aggressive, but of course not overly aggressive. But
You wouldn't want to be rude.
Yeah, but the point is that you're trying to gain as much as you can to even the game back.
So
So now we see this move, which actually threatens this potential cut. If black blocks, white will block on top, in which then black will have to protect again. So here, white Atari's first, and he's gonna find a quick co-threat. Probably, okay, he's jumped here. Black blocks. All black needs to do now is just to ensure that all his territories are in place, and black has a very definitive lead in the game.
okay, white takes the ko. Black gets his sente.
This move
Not.
might be a mistake because capturing this side is very
Much.
big.
Okay.
So I think white might have some hope. Because even though this is sente, it's a big move.
Right.
But it captures the white group, saves this black group. But remember, after white captures this stone, all of this might be in danger. So I think black is definitely taking an unnecessary risk. All black needs to do is connect, and then simply just Atari, and then protect. And I think that's all
Right.
he needs to do.
So if we quickly did a little count
Yeah, so maybe
of
we
what
could do,
this did.
Maybe we could
so-
do a count now
Right.
to see what exactly is the situation.
And we can do also a count of if what happens if this dies and
Yeah.
what
yeah.
may actually
Yeah, yeah. Let's count white first. So we said there was about 20 there,
right.
and then we have 2, 4, 6, and then 10, 13. Maybe we'll count one more point there. So 20 plus 20, and then we'll say this lives in 2 eyes. So 42. And here we have about 15 here.
Okay.
So
57.
57. But let's add black's territory now. So black gained quite a bit here. So up to this point, we have 10. Up to the third line, we have 20 points. So white can Atari and push in. They're all sente moves. So black has in addition to the 20 points, we've got 10, 11 plus, so 21 points in additional to those 20. So we've got actually 41 already in this group.
Okay.
And here we've got 25.
Okay.
So that's
60. Wait, we were at 41 and 25.
41 and 25.
Yeah, 66.
66. And then we have a few points here. So maybe 60, 68. So black definitely has the lead. But it's definitely not, how should I say this? Black hasn't won, right?
Right.
It's just a lead. But I
It's
think,
a decent lead, but it's not
but
over.
in terms of this risk though, it seems
The risk
unnecessary,
is
right?
large.
After white captures,
So-
black will capture this.
Right. And that's a flip of this is 17 points for white, and then it becomes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 points for black. Is that
So it's
right? Am I
10.
saying that right?
So
Wait, I did that. I don't know what I did.
I think you're close. So here, white will do that, and then that. So black has 2 there, plus 2, 4, 6, 8 stones.
Okay.
So 9 stones in total. So we've got 18 for black,
Okay.
and white had 6 stones,
Right.
plus these 2. So it's basically 7 stones. So we've got 14 for white.
Okay.
So it's like 30, 32, around 32 points here.
Okay. And then this.
But this is a difference between black having all this territory and
25 point, or I don't
25 in
know.
total, but
yeah.
here it was like 2,
Right.
4, 6, 8, 10, 12, maybe 15 actually.
Okay.
But if everything gets captured, then white would gain
Right.
almost 30 points. So this cannot get captured right now. So I think black is, it really is a very quick turn of events. I think it's, before we said that it was very difficult for this group to live.
Oh, right.
Almost
Now all of a
impossible.
sudden,
But all of a
it
sudden,
looks like
black didn't play the strongest move, and then all of a sudden it seems like if the center group is safe, then if white kills this, then it's going to be a clear win for white instead. So it's really amazing how fast this game can turn around.
and also just from maybe not have playing a very conservative move.
Yeah, but
In the corner,
now I'm
or-
thinking maybe it was because of the center.
Okay.
It's too safe, and I think before making a really safe move like this, black really needs to make the judgment call that he's actually going to win the game for sure, or else he shouldn't make such a easy move and let white escape here.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see how white's going to try to kill this group now.
Okay.
So he's going to extend.
Stand up.
And, ooh,
And
I'm a bit lost here.
and what do you call this? This is
A 6-line shoulder hit. Mm-hmm. Or a
right.
two-space
Yeah.
jump.
Right.
I don't know what it's called.
Okay.
I
So
wonder now if, sorry, we don't have those on board, but I wonder if black captures this and if white captures this, how the game would look like. Because that seems like what might be it might be a possibility.
it's evolving. Okay.
Let's
Okay.
see. So white extends, black extends. He's
Oh,
like,
that's where we are.
he's very comfortable, it seems, at sacrificing this. While the center seems,
So you think black's just letting that happen?
yeah, because now if white simply cuts this off,
Right, it's
then
done.
there's no way for this to live. It's there's not enough eye space.
But we said that over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think if black plays the first move here, it's very likely black can capture this.
Okay,
So-
so now black has this, white has taken control of this, but then black might be able to take back or seal off.
Yeah, I think if black captures the center, black will still win.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not sure what these guys are doing here. I'm failing to grasp what they're trying to do. Because it seems like, yeah, maybe black needed these moves, but is there another way to sacrifice? I'm trying to think about jumping here, but it might not be Sente. So if white can push and protect on the outside, then the question is, can black live here?
It's a good question.
I think it can be. I think it's at least a ko. Actually, because when black Atari is here, white cannot. He obviously can't connect, so he's gonna have to play a move here. And if black blocks, and then plays the Kosumi here, then when white attaches, then it's gonna be ko. So this is locally a ko. White captures.
So
But
is it worth it? Would it have been worth it for black to make a ko?
I think so, yeah. Because I mean, in a game, if white played here, this would all
Right,
be
it would just be,
captured, right?
okay. So
But now it's a
this
ko,
should
so
just
at
be
least-
left the way that it is.
But I think so. What I'm trying to say is, if I can jump and white doesn't want me to start a ko, he's going to have to kill this way.
Okay.
But after that, I can actually push and cut. And now white's actually in a lot of trouble. I didn't notice, actually. So if white saves this part, we're going to see, or let's say white just extends. Atari's here. So I'm just trying to think of a better way to sacrifice this group. And this seems a bit better because it gives forcings for the center. It might ensure that the center gets captured. So that's what I'm trying to do here.
So when you let your stones die, you should let them die in the best way. Find the best way for them to die.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's a little difficult to tell right now.
You have a few more moves now.
Oh, we have a few more moves. Okay,
Yeah.
let's see what happened in the game. Okay, so white decided I'm going to capture this and see what happens in the center.
Okay, so black is possibly killing, white's not giving them up. If that's what I'm seeing.
I'm really confused here. if black just plays here, white cannot capture. Because, well, if he plays here, I can take away this eye. And he can only make one eye by capturing this stone. So I don't know why he's not playing here. Or does this not matter? It's because black doesn't even need to extend, because if everything is cut off, everything can die inside.
Right.
So I think black just needs to play here to capture.
Does he
the
think he
center.
doesn't need that particular move?
So yeah, I think that would be the only logical assumption. But it seems if white just exchanges this and here, it seems
And
like
there's another.
it seems like it might. Yeah, if white connects here, then if black tries to take, if black wedges in here, white will make another eye here. So then we've got two eyes.
Right.
But if black tries to threaten this eye, white can hane. So if black connects, then black can no longer wedge in here to take away the eye.
Right, okay.
Because now we've got a tiger's mouth here. So yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening. And these players aren't in Byoyomi either. So
You
we'll just have
can't
to kind of see.
you can't excuse their behavior
Just have-
with time.
We just
Okay.
kind of have to see what happens. And I think black should play here to kill. This is a very important move in terms of eyes. Because this part is harder for white to make an eye over here. Okay, so
So you think
we've
this?
got-
Oh yeah. No, never mind.
But I mean, at least when white Atari is here, I think it should be pretty easy to see that when black plays here,
It does look, yeah.
it's really hard for white to make the second eye. If white makes this eye, I can similarly keep here and then extend the stone back. And these two are going to be mi-eye. Right, so if
Right,
you connect
if-
here, I'll
right.
just take away this eye. And if you play here, I'll just cut.
So either way, that's not an eye.
Yeah. So I think, I really think black should play here now. And if black extends, white can live by playing here.
Well, he didn't play there. Can he live by playing here? Which is where he played.
And black cut.
Yeah. Black cuts here.
Why is black so afraid of capturing
now we-
white? He's just trying to cut off bits and pieces, but he's not getting at the larger group.
So with this move, you're saying he could have just killed everything, and so instead he wants to.
Instead of extending here, I thought that was his chance. But am I predicting the game incorrectly? So maybe we have to count again after black playing here. White will probably connect back, and then maybe black will get some territory here. Okay, so I'm going to try to. These players are really making it hard to count because the territories are getting larger and larger.
And it also keeps seeming like it's going back and forth in terms of who looks like they're winning, or all of a sudden it looks like, oh, now, everything's changed and black must be winning, and everything's changed and white might win.
Yeah.
So
So we have 15 points here, plus the 7 here is 22, and I counted about 51 for this white territory here. So, math.
Oh, what was the first number? 51
and 22.
22. Okay,
You're my math person now.
73.
73 for white. So which means black needs about 81 to win. So on top of capturing this group, black also gains a little bit here. So before we counted this group already, and it was 41.
Mm-hmm.
So plus here, so we've got 19, so 60. Here we have 18 in there, so
78.
78.
We were at 73 with white plus Comey.
Plus 7 here, and then
78.
2 or 3 there.
85. 85 and we're 87, 88
80.
for black.
Black has 80, 87. Then
I hope I didn't just add a bunch of points. It was 60 and then it was...
it was 60 plus the 18 in there.
Right, okay. Yeah,
So
78 and then it was 7 here,
and then it was
85,
85,
and then 87. Yeah, okay.
Right, good. That's good to double check. So we've got 87.
And then 73 for white plus
And,
7 Comey.
Yeah,
so
so
8
we've had 73 for white, but it's white's turn to start endgame.
Okay.
And there are actually a couple big ones. For example, white can capture the three black stones here. So are we back?
So we're actually
to a
looking
close
pretty
game?
even.
This is.
So that must have... Okay. So black didn't just thought just doing that couldn't...
But I
be
mean,
enough.
I think he had so much time. I think he should definitely have seen this. Yeah, he's really giving Mark a chance here, and
Yeah,
he's- yeah. So let's.
Can we get the
see-
time
Let's
they have left?
let's take a look at a few more moves and see how
Okay.
the end game is going to play
Okay,
out.
so black cuts, white extends, and then black comes to the corner.
Tari, this is Sente.
Right. And then black saves these 3 stones, so doesn't want white to get that end game.
Okay. Yeah, I think these 3 stones might be bigger than my clamp there. So that's a good play.
Okay, so this is where we're at now.
So yeah, we're looking at a relatively close game, but maybe I'll count more accurately, and I'll try to update you guys with the state of the game as we progress into endgame here.
And there's actually an event we wanted to mention. There's a kids tournament in New York, and you should look it up on usgo.org to get more information about that. But yeah.
It's in September, and there's a lot of prizes. It's 1,500 total in cash prizes, youth tournament. So
That is a lot for a
definitely
kid.
catch that out. Well, not for one person, but
Right.
in total. Yeah, so I'm assuming black will attach, defend this area, or Kasumi. So I guess it's similar to what we counted before. In this area, white could push and turn here. So
We've got a
I don't
couple
know,
more moves now.
these.
Oh.
I have a weird feeling that white might be a little bit ahead, actually. Because it always happens like this. You have a huge lead, make some mistakes, and at the end you always lose by half a point. It's how the plot goes, and I'm feeling danger for black right now. Yeah, so this wedge is a good endgame move. If black Ataris, white can actually Atari inside. And if black takes, then white can connect. And this would take away a lot of territory.
Right, okay.
So black cannot Atari, instead black has to extend. But we're looking at a lot of issues now, actually, because there's another potential endgame move here. Even though right now it's not the biggest, white can still connect a few more stones back. So he's gaining some points, and Mark's endgame is very good.
Okay, yeah, what have you noticed about the different players? Like, I guess it seemed like Mark's also more aggressive, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think Mark is
what do
more
you
of a well-rounded player. Mark's style is the type where when you play him, it feels like it's difficult to get an advantage anywhere. He's like that type of player. He's very balanced style, and his opening, mid-game, and end-game is relatively all very balanced. Actually, today I talked with Mark, and he hasn't really been in a competitive scene for some time. And actually, the way he kind of carried himself, I kind of felt that he was really nervous about the Masters tournament this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how the games will play out. And as far as we can tell, the games that have been played have been really close, right? And the game this morning was very, very close, and you know it was a very, very close clutch win by Mark at the end, where he was able to come back almost at the end of endgame, which is actually relatively rare for high level games. So yeah, I think we're going to definitely see very interesting games in later this week.
So I think it was Eric Louis who said today it was something that sounded really sure, and he said it was as sure as having a 3.5 point lead 50 moves before the end, like in the end game, 50 moves before the end. And I was like that for a one-dan, 3.5 point lead 50 moves before the end does not sound like a sure thing to me at all. But for you, that would be...
Yeah, when you're ahead by if you're black and you're ahead about 10 points on the board, which is about 2.5 or 3.5 points, when you get to endgame of about 5 points or less, it's pretty much over. Because near the end, it's much easier to calculate the bigger moves. So it's actually very, very difficult to actually come back from that point.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit more here. Okay.
So white pushed in.
So we have that. Okay.
And then black extended. White pushed one more.
And black came back and took the ko.
Captured. Connected. And then black extends. So these are all pretty normal endgame moves. And that's a very big move. That might be one of the last ones, actually.
This one, the last big.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where we're at now. So just purely looking at it, I would think there's this. What else is left? Are we 50 moves before the end game? Is it? Because then we should
I
know.
think we're close, actually. we're close. White actually has about 80 points.
Okay. Right.
Feel free to keep playing some more endgame moves as we get them. I'm going to try to get a more accurate count on the actual territories.
Okay. So just a quick thing for for anyone who's interested in learning about Go, it's always good to go on usgo.org and see if you have a local Go club that you can go to. Everyone who plays Go loves to teach new players how to play, so you don't have to feel intimidated at all. And you'd be surprised how many Go clubs there actually are. So it's always good to check that out. Even if they're very small clubs, like they're always really, really happy to meet new players and teach them how to play. Just a little.
So did Black play the Knight's move now?
So here, yes. Okay. Nope. And here we have the monkey jump.
Yeah, okay, right. That's the monkey jump.
It's like every kid's favorite thing to do because it looks like it takes away so many points.
It does. It does actually, in reality.
Yeah.
It's a very big move.
So let's see. So it's still very close, you'd say. Yeah. Overall, it's a pretty fast game, right? And this is an example also of a very, very complicated game. So if you're watching this, it makes sense that you're not going to completely understand everything. The basic principles you can take from it just have to do with making territory versus building walls for influence that you try to turn into territory later. And the concepts of life and death and things like that. So not every game is going to look like this. A lot are more clear cut, and you just see, people just kind of try to make their territories. But for high level players, obviously, it's a lot more messy, and you'll see things changing really fast from, groups who go from live to dead. It seems really fast. But yeah, you can always start with something more simple. And you can actually start with smaller boards. This is the largest board. This is 19 by 19, but you can play the game on a 13 by 13 board or a 9 by 9. So that's often a lot easier to start with, and you won't see all these complicated variations. But you can learn, all the basic stuff just about making good shapes, keeping your groups alive, killing someone.
Someone. Uh-oh.
No.
Are we allowed to?
Killing groups.
Are we allowed to practice? So it's super close right now.
Okay.
Black is about 84-ish, and white has 77. There's some unsettled areas. For example, that in games that I just showed, and potentially black could capture this stone here by a towering. So where really I think it'll be a 1.5 or 2.5 game within that range.
Okay, we have more. We have more. Oh no.
White pushed and then extended.
Okay. Just trying to catch up now to the actual game. This is all end game now, so pretty much nothing major should happen at this point. It just comes down to.
So that move forces white to make the two eyes in the corner there, which is a very sneaky endgame move actually.
A sneaky sente move.
And then the sending here.
How are you feeling as this is happening? What's going on in your head?
In my head.
Yeah, your head. What's
Well,
going
actually,
on?
This year, I find it very relaxing. So previously, in all the years I've been playing in the Masters, and it's exceedingly tiring. There's so much pressure, and every day when I wake up, all I'm thinking is Go. But this year, I think I'm really enjoying it, and it's really nice to be on the commentating side.
Oh yeah, so
So right now this is a very big end game. So okay, now.
oh, so I was gonna say last year. So last year you
Yeah.
were in the tournament that we are doing. Like, I'm not gonna say this right. Last year you were in this tournament, the North American Masters, and so that's yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. Moving on. Okay.
Yeah, I've been playing.
That's
in the
this
Masters.
tournament.
Yeah, that's this tournament. Yeah, I've been playing in the Masters for quite some time.
How many years have you played in the Masters?
Since 2014.
I think that's where I was going with it, and then I forgot to ask the question that I was going to ask,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and then I forgot.
Yeah, so in 2014, I was not pro yet. And then when I turned pro, the next Congress that I played in was absolutely horrendous.
Where's that? Why was it so much worse?
All the other AJ pros told me, which is expected. It happens to everyone, and we should just deal
But
with
why
it
is it
and move
worse?
on.
What would make it worse? Just
Well,
like
I
there's
think
too much
it's-
pressure?
Yeah, I think just turning pro, it's quite different. I mean, playing as a pro, there's actually a lot more going on. It's
No.
I really feel it. You take games more seriously. Like as an amateur, when you lose a game, it's less, you feel less pain. But as a pro, it's when you lose a game,
It's very painful.
It's just you just want to bang your head.
I don't know. I
on the wall.
feel a lot of pain when I lose a game, which is a lot. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're nearing the end here, and I think the smaller parts of the end game is relatively even. Nothing major happened.
And so you had said that it looked like. Oh, it was at. Black was at 77 and white was at 84?
Oh,
Was
that's
that
not-
with 35? Okay, count again. Time to do
Sorry.
another count.
The
No worries.
territories are so large, and you really have to keep track of all the, because we didn't keep track of the dead stones, so you kind of,
Oh,
I
right.
kind of have to like backtrack them a little bit. So
Yes, I started a pile over here and then I used it later. So
yeah, and especially in the end game, points change very quickly.
So overall, how much time do we have left in this game? Do they have left? I guess it doesn't matter. They're definitely going to finish any minute now. Okay. So we're going to see who wins shortly.
Yeah, so white took this end game, but I think, oh, right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So this reduces black by about 3 points. Black should have taken this earlier, because now black has to respond. If black doesn't respond, white will push and extend here, which will get a lot more points.
So then black has to come down.
Yeah.
Okay. So while I'm filling in this endgame, is there anything from earlier that you'd want to go over again also?
Probably the center fight. I mean,
Right, okay. Because it just
I'm
looked like,
I stand extremely confused about that center.
because it just looked like, it really looked like the game was over, right?
Yeah, I mean, if the players were in Byoyomi, we could just blame it on that. But I think it's hard to understand what exactly happened there.
Okay, let's see, almost in. Okay. Okay, so just a little quick update. Yongfei is in Byoyomi, which means that, wait, I'll explain that. Mark has 25 minutes left. There's basic time, and then there's Byoyomi. So that's the period at the end in which there are 5 periods of 30 seconds, and you have to play within the 30 seconds, or it moves down to 4 periods of 30 seconds. And if you don't play within the next 30 seconds, 3 periods, and so on. So at the end of that, that's game over. So you have to play within the last period of 30 seconds, or you lose the
speeds
game.
up the pace of the game.
Yeah. So it looks like he will be playing very fast now.
Yeah. An update on the scoring. Black has about 10-point lead. I think I may have underestimated the points Black had in the lower left. So Chris is going to be disappointed. So after Black took this endgame move, I counted about 10-point lead. But I think there's a lot of codes, so it would take a little bit of more time to actually sort those out. But I think we'll have the game results.
The actual game
soon.
results, yeah. And what would this mean for their chances to win? So Yongfei, do you know how his earlier game went?
I'm pretty sure he won his first game.
Okay.
Or else they wouldn't have played. Yeah, Yongfei won his first game.
Okay. And Mark.
So White will probably take this now. Either.
So he just went here.
Oh, he pushed. Yeah. Okay.
Push once.
And then.
So that probably. Oh, he didn't do this. Is that unexpected?
So this push is Sente 1.5. So it's actually bigger than a Gote 2 points.
But I guess he's in Byoyomi now. Maybe affects.
Maybe, yeah. But I think Black
him.
has enough lead to maintain, because now we only have just a few things left to do before the end.
Okay. So it just looks like White didn't recover fully from having such a weak group in the center so much earlier on. So White still has quite a bit of time, so we know that, and a quick update on this morning, Yongfei beat Willis Huang in round 1. So yes, he has a win so
Black
far.
has 84.5 points.
Black has 84.5 points. So at this point, the points aren't really going to change, most likely.
White has 74.
So Black has a considerable, 74 with Comey?
Without.
Without
so
Comey.
Black has about 10 to 11 points lead on the board.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to look like about 3,
and we are definitely
2.5 to
50.
3.5.
We're definitely within 50 moves. So it's got to be what?
Well,
right?
I think at this point you're going to be comfortable finishing it, right? You can finish. You can go on and finish it off for Yongfei. Would you be comfortable? That's sheer Julian.
So this is where we are.
I'm sure Mark is counting the points many times.
Okay. Now I have to do work.
I think in the end game, Mark played quite well. I didn't see any big mistakes, because White really destroyed Black's territory on the side, but Black managed to get this move. So I think in general the end game is very even. There hasn't been any big change in terms of points. Maybe 1 or 2 only.
Yeah, all that's left. Okay, so there's this.
Yeah. So all that's left is, this is a Sente move for White, but White will not play that now. So these are Sente moves. Black will Atari, and then White can capture this stone. And then this is the same. So Black will Atari, will descend, block, and then Black will take this last one, and White will connect. And there's probably going to be a ko at the end. So I'm going to quickly see who has more ko threats. So we've got 1 ko threat, 2 ko threats for Black. Wait, is this ko threat? It's probably not a co-threat. So
So while we're just waiting for these last moves to be played, did you want to talk about anything else you're doing now that you're not playing in the North American Masters? You have all this time. So think about how long this game was. And then
Multiply
last year
that
there
by
were 9.
yeah,
9 of those. So that's a lot of the day.
it is. It is.
Yeah. For the the U.S. Open, it's just one round every morning, and even my game was almost 3 hours.
Yeah, so you have one and a
Almost
half
3
hours
hours.
each.
Yeah.
So of main time. So you get to spend that 1.5 hours however you want. But after you spend that, you go into Byoyomi, which Julie explained earlier.
Right.
So it could potentially take at least 3 hours. And then the Byoyomi, it's a wild card. Some players are very good at playing at the 29th second of 30. So,
And my brother plays most of the game
yeah, especially Matthew, yeah.
in Byoyomi. There'll be like 4 moves on the board. 1 hour goes by, and then. But yeah, so that's pretty much as long as my games will take. But for I know for the Masters with 2 hours basic time.
I'm really glad that the Masters changed the Byoyomi from 40 to 30 seconds. It used to be a 40-second Byoyomi, and I heard before it was a 60-second Byoyomi. So, I mean, with 60 seconds, it's just, there's basically no time limit for pros because there are certain, well, actually everyone can do it. I mean, because in a competitive game, you really want to spend as much time as possible thinking about your moves. So, as a consequence, players are very accustomed to the sound of the Byoyomi. So the clock will read 50 seconds, 55 seconds, and then 58 seconds.
Right.
So we're basically trained to pick up the stone at 55, and then place it down at 58, and press the clock at 59. So if you think about it, if every move took about 60 seconds, then if we play the last 150 moves in Byoyomi, how long is that going to be? That's 2.5 hours. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's really it really can take a long time. Plus
So,
the main time, of course. So a 5-hour game.
so your other games that you've played recently, how long are they usually?
So I think recently in the professional level, they've also shortened the game time quite a bit. So but most tournaments still stick with the 60-second Byoyomi, especially like the Samsung Masters, the M. Lily Cup, all use 60-second Byoyomi. And as long as that sounds, when you're nervous, it
Goes
just
by
happens
really
like
fast.
that. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I think the longest game I played probably was an M. Lily game. I think it was 380 moves, and it took about 7 hours. So we started the game at 12 and finished at near 7.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I had a big lunch, luckily.
Well, yeah, it's really nice how the players are here where they can just agree to sort of pause and eat lunch. And
Yeah.
you don't have to like,
Yeah, but I
Forgo,
mean,
yeah.
nowadays it's harder to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because of AI analysis. I think that we've have a
Oh,
couple of
I see,
more
right.
in-game moves. Right,
Okay.
right. You can't simply pause anymore. Because
I didn't even
there
think
is the
about
risk
that.
of players potentially using AI. So
oh, I didn't think about that either.
so but wait.
So there's some really good things about AI and that bringing more people into the game, and then consequences being that some people don't really respect the etiquette of the game.
Well, I think it's a necessary precaution. I mean, you can't really run the risk of anything happening like that. So right now the players are
Right.
fighting this last ko. So it's a single ko. It's worth 1 point, and
So we've got
so a couple of ko threats. Oops. I just resigned. Um, so here, and black connected here. So black gave up the ko, and white. Oh, white.
Oh, white didn't
White
take.
captures. So
Okay.
if you can fill the last dame point, you can actually gain an extra point in AGA rules.
Right.
That's equivalent of in Chinese rules as well. Because when you fill the last dame and there's a ko left, you force your opponent to pass, which gives you a point. And then when you connect the ko, they have to pass again. So because of this rule, white captured first.
Okay.
And
So yeah, in the AGA rules, when the players pass, they must pass a stone to their opponent, and then white must pass last. So if, for example, white passed first, then black would pass a stone, and then white would pass another stone.
so black shouldn't take the ko right now.
And
so,
he doesn't.
So he doesn't. He connects these first, because if black took the ko, white could exchange and take the ko back. So that doesn't really gain anything at all. White connected
Yeah.
here, and black connected.
And now
White
black
fills in
takes
another
the
dame,
ko.
and then black takes ko. But I don't think this is necessary because white's behind by more than 1 point.
Okay. So it captures this.
You have stones now.
Yeah, not all the stones.
So
I could
actually,
actually use.
We're
the
actually
exact
running
amount
out of
stones.
black stones, so I hope they finish
Let's
fast.
see. Okay, so white has 9 captures. So just one more than this. And
And capture back.
right. And black has 16 captures. Well, we can't. We have to use these stones. We're running out of stones.
Black connects.
And
White
then
will fill in another dummy. And then black
okay, takes the
captures
ko.
back. So what black is trying to waste as many of white's ko threats as possible to stop this from happening. And I don't think this can happen because in order to do this, you really need a lot more ko threats than your opponent. So white has one.
I'm gonna give up on keeping the captures.
Oh, actually, this is not even a ko threat.
Okay, filled.
Let's go.
All right, it's
Yeah.
over.
So he filled in, then it's over.
It's over.
So then let's fill in the last dominant points.
They're counting now. Okay.
Okay, let's just fill it in too.
Have you played both of these players before?
I have actually. I played Mark many times. So actually, I became friends with Mark in 2014, even though I lost to him in the Masters that year. But I've actually revenged myself many times, although in very unofficial play. But yeah, Yongfei, he's from Mississauga, and I used to play him quite a bit when I was in Toronto getting my undergrad. And he is very, very fighting style. He just goes all at you, and you can't even do anything. So I played them a couple times. I think Yongfei more than Mark because in
lived
Canada
nearby.
there were more tournaments around there
Right.
back when I participated more. When I was active more in Canada.
Were you the same rank for a while then?
Yeah.
And then Mark more recently.
Yeah, Mark
Okay.
more recently when he came to the U.S. in 2014.
Okay, and you weren't yet
But my
a
only
professional at that time.
right, but my only official game with him was during the Masters in 2014.
Okay. How did it go?
It was very, very lengthy and a lot of reading. Yeah. Oh, so they're
Okay.
counting now and
So,
9.5.
Black won. Black won by 9.5.
9.5.
Yes, 9.5. So,
Is that the official result we have? Okay, we have the official result. Black won by 9.5. Okay, so we really miscalculated the game result.
Okay.
Okay, so I
Well,
think
it was a good game, but
yeah,
it seemed like
it was interesting. We predicted that Black was definitely ahead at some point, but we kind of the lead was a bit different than what we expected. But
Right.
congratulations to
It turned out
Yongfei for an upset win against Bark, who was the favorite in this tournament. So yeah, we'll be
Right.
expecting very intense matchups just like this one. So stay tuned.
And yeah, thank you for watching, and
We will sign out. And
we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, wow. Just wow. I mean, that was
Intense.
intense, right? I mean, and that's round two.
Round two, only round
I mean,
two.
it's just going to get better from here. So
gets
I
better.
want to talk real quick about the game, and then I want to do a little bit of handicapping for the rest of the week, okay? So, I mean, I warned you that I thought Mark had more stuff going on. He really did pull quite a rabbit out of the hat in the middle game, didn't he?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I mean, it looked really dangerous for him. He was trying to come back, but Yongfei had his groups were so strong, so solid that he really couldn't get anything out of it.
So it was interesting. You were thinking that the whole thing was just totally dead, but as it turned out, and I thought your assessment of Yongfei is completely right. I mean, I've recorded a bunch of his games, and he's such a quiet guy when you look at him. He never shows emotion. He never does the shake. I mean, he gives you nothing. I mean, I used to joke I've got one picture from like 10 years ago. It's like same picture, right? But he's fierce.
He is. He's a hard fighter.
Yeah.
And when he makes a judgment, he's confident. He's calm, and he did it today.
And I thought from the beginning when I looked at the field, I thought, okay, yeah, Mark's the favorite. But I looked and I thought, the game this morning was actually he had a tough game. But I thought Yongfei, he's the one who could potentially take him.
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
9 points, that's a lot.
That's a big win.
For that, that's a
Yeah.
big win, right?
Yeah. But you weren't striking Mark out yet, right? In the middle, we really looked very, very bad for Mark, but he fought hard.
He really did.
At one point, there were so many exchanges that it really seemed close again. But at the end, Yongfei made really clear judgments, and he carried it out to the end.
Well, big congratulations. First of all, congratulations to both players. An incredibly well-fought game. And thanks to both you and Julie. I mean, that was just a really masterful
so
game
fun.
analysis,
Yeah.
right? You want a game like that,
Yes,
don't you?
yes.
You don't want a one-sided game. It really went back and forth. Just really sad. I hope folks really enjoyed that. That to me is the essence of what Go is about.
Exactly right. You need that in a fascinating game.
I almost feel like you're thinking, darn, wish I was playing this week, right?
Having second thoughts already.
Having second thoughts. All right, let's just do a quick little handicapping. Now, we don't have complete results yet, but let me just tell you what I know, and you guys can update me if you have any more current information. So, obviously, big upset. Yongfei has taken down Mark. So, Yongfei is now 2-0.
2-0.
Other 2-0s that we know of at the moment, Eric Louis, of course, you know Eric well, another professional from my neck of the woods over in D.C., so he's 2-0. Somebody, I don't know this person at all, maybe you do, Aiko New?
Aiko New, yes. She is.
What can you tell me about her?
She is a young professional from Japan.
Okay.
And she is very strong. Although it's hard to say. Because when we get strong players from Asia, it's always hard to say.
Difficult to know.
I've seen her a couple times in the international mind sports games. She's represented Japan multiple times.
Okay.
So she's definitely not something we should pass on.
So you think we should keep an eye on her?
She's
okay, good. That's great to know. We'll have to try and get some more information on her
We'll
as well.
definitely see some of her games.
Okay, and then Aaron Yee.
Oh, Aaron.
Yeah, is also 2-0 after today. So those are the ones that I know of for right now. I'm sorry, one more. Jeremy. Jeremy is also Jeremy. You're right. I'm sorry. Jeremy won tonight, but he lost this morning. So no, I'm mistaken. All right. So, and I don't know. I don't have the rest. So, am I right? Does this kind of open it up at this point? I mean, does it become anybody's championship? I mean, what's your thought?
It's hard to say. I mean, with a smaller pool of players, it could get hard very quickly. I think by tomorrow, we're gonna have one person in the lead, but then all the other players will be close behind, and then we'll really have to see whether the leader could carry it to the end. And I think that's the hard part is. After you play really tough games and during the week, you have to stay rested. You have to keep informed to deal with all these strong players that will all fight hard to take game away from you.
Because the games don't get any easier.
No, they don't.
Wow.
They never do.
Well, great game, great commentary. Thanks again to both you and to Julie. And just a big shout out, Babs and Steven, terrific work. And thanks to all of you for watching. I don't know the final number, but I believe it was over 7,000. Is that right? 7,000. So I hope that we've communicated some of the excitement of this wonderful game. usgo.org is where you can find out more about it and where the local Go Club is. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., round 3. Hope to see you then.
See you then.